Well, I didn't get ingested by Dan Aykroyd, but unfortunately Chrissy was. I don't know if she'll be back. She might be back. So right now, I'm just alone again.
Hey, uh, is Dan Aykroyd gone?
Yes, Lauren, I'm so happy to see you. I've been alone for a whole few days now. I don't know where
I'm
Chris
sorry.
is. He's been gone for a long time.
I was hiding under a box.
A
I was,
box.
yeah. It turns out it fooled him. I wouldn't have thought. I guess it didn't look enough like Crystal Head vodka. So,
Maybe he got it. Maybe Chris got eaten by Dan Aykroyd. I haven't seen him in a long time. So
oh,
I don't
that's
know where he
concerning.
is.
But yeah, Dan Aykroyd vor, not a pleasant sight.
Dan Aykroyd.
Oh,
No, I can't make that.
Aykroyd.
I can't make that work.
Not unless you draw out the syllables, but
Well, it's the Christmas season, and before Chrissy was devoured by Blues Brother, we talked about Jack Frost, the Killer Snowman movie. Yes, that one. Thank you, Ghost Editor. But now it's time to talk about another spooky snowman, Michael Keaton. That's not Michael Keaton. That's the Campbell Snowman.
No, the one that really shouldn't exist anyway, because what snowman eats soup and lives?
What? How does it eat the soup?
Boy.
I've always wanted to know how it eats the soup.
But then it's a boy who's frozen as a snowman, which begs the question: how did he?
I know.
How long was he out there?
Before the head completely melts, you see the spoon like right up against the rock. So like, how does it eat? I want to know how it eats the soup.
It just shoves it in the snow, I guess.
There he is. There's
There's
the Mike Myers looking puppet.
The one that really didn't end up looking like Michael Keaton.
No,
I was insisting that it does.
I was thinking about this earlier when I was watching the movie, because I kept thinking to myself, like, what does he look like? He doesn't look like Michael Keaton.
I know who you're thinking of.
And I offhandedly was like on Twitter while I was watching it, and I saw somebody like mention Mike Myers, and I was like, oh, Mike Myers, that's who it looks like. It looks almost exactly like Mike Myers. Like, it does not look like Michael Keaton at all. It's really weird.
Yeah,
it
makes me think of the Snowman. You know, it was that book called The Snowman. It was like the one that
you mean
like colored pencil-y
You mean the walking in the air? That
yeah, the one that got animated. Yeah, the one that got animated later
it's like
in the 80s.
One of the best looking Christmas specials ever made.
It kind of reminds me of.
It's like one of the best looking Christmas specials ever made.
Yeah, aesthetically it's just so nice. But we're not here to talk about the snowman, are we? I mean, not that snowman. We're talking about the conveniently named man who gets turned into one of snow.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Jack Frost 98, not the one that came out a year after the horror movie. And I remember someone once told me a story that they used to work at like a Blockbuster, and they would intentionally fuck with people when this movie came out on VHS, and they would swap the boxes, or they would swap the tapes. They would do it to fuck with people. They would intentionally like swap the tapes with both movies.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, no. This is an interesting movie, because I would you say this is even a cult movie? I don't know what.
I don't know what cult follows it, but
this movie doesn't seem to have a good reputation, because I know on Rotten Tomatoes this movie has such a fucking bad rating. I think it's like a 20, like a 20%. And yeah, I know the movie,
because I'm like, it's far from the worst film I've ever seen.
No.
But at the same time, it's a strange bird.
It's a very odd movie. It's very, very weird, because it was a huge bomb when it came out, and again, it was fucking destroyed by critics when it came out. And I don't know, me personally, I don't 100% understand why it got as thrashed as it did. I don't know if there was some sort of expectations that people had. I don't know. This is
Not
just kind
my
of a movie
Frosty
where
the Snowman.
I know it's like it's a movie where I remember like Roger Ebert especially. I think he gave it like a 1 out of 4 when
Oof.
it came out. Like, yeah, oh wow, I found his review. Let's see. It's possible for the Jim Henson folks and Industrial Light and Magic to put their heads together to come up with the most repulsive single creature in the history of special effects.
Oh,
It's like
that's
that's one
awful.
of one of the most notable things I've noticed is people point out how fucking ugly the
I
snowman is, and
I
I'm gonna be honest, that snowman doesn't bother me. It really
he
doesn't.
treads the line of uncanny valley, but at the same time, yeah, he's really not that bad. I mean, and I got
No,
to
and
give credit that
I
the puppeteering and the animatronics and anything like that, anything that was done, I mean, it was good. I mean, it's not
the
the most perfect
puppet
thing, but it
the
was
the
actually pretty dang
puppetry the puppet in this is so fucking impressive. Like the facial expressions in
mhm.
particular, like how well emoted they got this puppet to move with its
Yeah,
eyebrows and how its eyes move and its mouth has like tons of different expressions and it's
especially
really
considering
really
it's
well done.
especially because I think it seems like they have, like, somebody who's in the body of the snowman, and then
Yeah,
obviously the head is puppeteered remotely or something like that. Um,
they had two people in the suit, separately. They weren't like in the suit together, but they had two
right.
people in the suit at the time, and they had two different people operating the
Oh,
head. And
it's funny because Jack actually does cry as a snowman, so this is actually and no,
man,
it doesn't freeze on his face. I guess it just becomes more snow.
yeah, it's not like like Mr. Krabs in the SpongeBob movie when he cries when he's frozen and it's like the single like tear like freezes and falls to the ground. Yeah, I guess we should do a breakdown of the plot.
Yeah.
So this movie also, like the horror film, has a character named Jack Frost. It's actually his name, and
Mhm.
he's a rock slash like blues musician. They kind of do like a mix of music with them, but I think they call him a rock band specifically called the Jack Frost Band. Which number one, could you really not think of a more creative name than the Jack Frost Band? Like I know that there's things like what's the Jimi Hendrix Experiment or who am I thinking of? I know that there's
Experience.
Experience, yeah, things like that. Like I get that, but the Jack Frost Band just feels kind of shockingly uncreative for a movie with a puppet like that, like
It's a
a
very
snowman.
shoehorned in kinda name, like, they threw it in last minute thinking like, "Oh, we got
Yeah,
all this figured out," and then it's like, "What are we gonna call it?" That's right, he has a band, right? What are we gonna call him? Jack Frost
Jack
Band?
Frost Band. Well, it's funny because they have a lot of they have like merchandise shit in the movie because there's like a shovel has like a little sticker on it, and they have like a poster, and like
Mhm.
there's all this stuff. So I'm like, that tells me it was probably thought of pretty early on. It's weird.
Yeah, and then I do have to laugh, I'm sorry, at the cover of Frosty the Snowman to open up the movie, it's like they're trying to be it's supposed to be like this bluesy rock
Blues,
version.
rock, and I'm sorry, I refuse to think that that many people, like, in their 20s would be going that hard to a
For
blues
Frosty
rock
the
cover
Snowman.
of Frosty the Snowman. Like, they're going super hard when you watch the opening of the movie. Like, everybody in that crowd is like, "Yeah! Woo!" Like, they're all, like, freaking out. Like it's fucking Axl Rose on stage. Like, they're all freaking out. And I'm like, it's
Headlining
fucking Frosty
Coachella.
the Snowman. Like,
Yeah, exactly, that kind of vibe. The cool Santa vibe.
yeah, I'm like, and weird cameo. The agent that is in the audience that you only see like once is fucking Dweezil Zappa, like one of Frank Zappa's kids.
Really? Oh
Yes, and
god.
I actually found this out after watching the movie. Three of his kids are in this.
S
Like,
Jeez, so where did he
yeah,
get
Dweezil Zappa, Moon Unit, and Ahmet all appear in this, and I don't
wow.
know why. It it's
somebody knew somebody related to Frank
somebody
Zappa, I
had to
guess.
know somebody, because I was just wondering, like, did someone in this have some sort of connection to Frank Zappa? Because he had already been dead for 5 years when this came out, so it's not like he's in the movie
Wait,
or
what
anything.
wait, hold on. What if now hear me out. What if this was actually the recordings of what actually happened to Frank Zappa?
This is his kids telling his story. This is when Frank Zappa died. His final appearance on Earth was as a snowman. I want that movie. I want the movie where
Zappa
Frank Zappa's
Frost.
spirit goes into Zap. Yes, Zap Frost. Yes, we'll call it Zap Frost, and his
Zap
spirit goes
Frost.
into a fucking snowman, and it's about him trying to reconnect with his kids. And I mean, I don't know how they'd be able to do it now, given he's been dead for 28 years, but still.
Like since you brought that up, I'm like, man, you never know. You never know. I mean, it goes right in with the conspiracy theorists that think Elvis is out in Cancun somewhere.
Tying it back to Home Alone and Christmas, to people think that was it Home Alone that people thought Elvis was in? Like, there's like a theory that like somebody thought like one of the guys in Home Alone or Home Alone 2 was like, yeah, okay, I looked it up. Yeah, there's like a scene. It's the scene when Catherine O'Hara's in the airport and she's like first talking to them and like, I have to get home, and like the guy behind
So that
her,
would be the
people
first one.
theorize. Yeah, people theorize that the guy behind Catherine O'Hara looks like Elvis.
Zappa Afterlife.
Zap Afterlife.
Zap Afterlife.
But yeah, no. Okay, so back to the plot. So blues rock musician played by Michael Keaton named Jack Frost. He gets seen by an agent at a concert he's performing at, and meanwhile, his son Charlie, uh, he's like not the most popular kid, but everybody seems to like him. He's not like
Mhm.
an outcast among the kids. He's
Yeah.
kind of a normal kid. Uh,
He's actually
basically
quite
him.
smart too. He
Yeah,
shows promise that he's actually a pretty smart kid and strategic, which actually is it's hilarious that they showcase it, especially in like this huge snowball fight that happens
the
right after
best,
school's let out, and it has
the coolest fucking snowball fight ever put in a movie. Like,
and it has like bomb sounds going off.
they have like World War II like machine gun sounds, and they're like all these kids are like hiding behind giant forts. One of them's like 12 feet tall, and they're like, and they all have like slingshots and shit. Like, that looks like the coolest fucking snowball fight.
I have never been involved in a snowball fight that cool. Nowhere
I
near.
had
So
like no, I was
I'm like,
literally
do those
watching.
even happen? I would love to
I
see them be
I
actually a
literally
thing in
wrote
real
I
life.
literally wrote in my notes, this is the coolest fucking snowball fight I have ever seen, and I wish I was a part of it. Like,
It was but yeah, it was another again actually, it's funny 'cause the film takes its time into getting to the actual gist of the plot. So it's like, but it does enough time to establish that, uh, with Jack being, kind of because he's always on tour and devoting himself to his work, that he's sort of an like half absent father, or at least he's the father that
it's
promises a lot of things and doesn't always fulfill
it
them. And
it's funny because he's very clearly a good dad.
yeah,
Like,
he's
he's a
just very
very,
busy
very good dad. Like
and
it's
very
weird because
driven.
it's yeah, it's not one of those. It's interesting because it's not one of those movies where the dad is like estranged from his family and he's gone all
Yeah,
the time. It's like, no, it's rare. It's a very rare movie where I see the dad and like, oh no, he's like genuinely a good dad. He just happens to be not present very often. Like,
yeah, it yeah. Again, it's like he's painted, or at least when he I guess, within the plot, as we continue on here, is that Charlie is involved in hockey, and that's something that he and his dad both like, and, they basically, have a mutual love for it. And Charlie, uh, has Jack promise to him that he'll be at his, hockey game, uh, one day, and then that kinda drives a rift between them when Jack ends up going overtime when he's recording at a studio and realizes he's missed the game, and, team's lost, all that
It's
jazz.
it's eerily similar to the opening of Jingle All the Way. It's very eerily similar, like,
I
except for
wonder if
instead of
there is
hockey,
just a
it's a
bunch
kara
of, like, similar tropes like that, just,
yeah,
like, at the time they all borrowed from each other.
it's like the dad who well, in Jingle All the Way, it's like, actually, oh my god, it is so similar the more and more I'm thinking about it. It's the dad who promises too much, he's never there, and he misses his son's, like, karate class, but here it's hockey. Like,
But
but,
yeah,
uh
it
but yeah, no,
um,
so with that, like, it's funny, it takes, like, 35, 40 minutes,
it
I think,
does.
for the snowman to take it. Yeah, it takes, like, about half the
Yeah,
almost half the movie's runtime, like,
yeah,
to get
so
to the snowman.
yeah, basically, Jack, promises he'll take his family up to, this cabin that they like to go up to every now and then. They'll go up there and spend Christmas, like, a few days up there. Then all of a sudden, a gig, like, an opportunity to perform for, some guy for a record label or something like that, wants to, hear him play, but the trick is he has to go and perform at this house on
It's, like,
Christmas
right as
Eve,
they're leaving to go to the
right as they're
cabin, he
leaving
gets
to
the
go to the
call.
cabin.
Yeah, he gets the call saying, "Hey, you have to perform at this concert or I'm not gonna sign you," or, like, "You have to perform at this party."
Yeah, and basically on the way there, he and his whole band go, "Yeah, no, we don't wanna do this, we wanna spend time with our families." And so literally, Jack takes his bandmate, I guess it would be his bandmate's car, um, and, as he's driving to the cabin from where he's at, and, it starts to snow so heavily, and the wipers keep, malfunctioning on the car, and as you can figure, it didn't end well for him from that point. Uh, Flash forward immediately to a year later.
A year! It's so weird. Like, usually with these kind of things, it's like the day after or like a week. No, he gets in a car crash, dies, and they immediately the next scene is 1 year later. Like, it even says at the
Mhm.
bottom. Like, and the kid is, like, super depressed now that his dad's dead, and he's not talking to anyone at school anymore, and oh, yeah, okay, we didn't talk about the
How about
we didn't
that
talk about
bully
the harmonica.
exposition?
Oh, yeah, the bully and the harmonica, we didn't talk about
Yeah,
either of those.
that's
So,
right.
there's this with the snowball fight, there's a bully played by one of the Lawrences. I don't remember which one. It's not Joey Lawrence, but, Andrew Lawrence.
Mm,
This bully and the kid constantly outsmarts this bully, Charlie. He constantly outsmarts him. And they the exposition dump that the bully gives at like a couple different points where he talks about like not having a dad and shit
mhm.
like that. But this bully's a recurring character throughout, but he doesn't play like a major part until like there's like one scene where he's a big part and then near the end. But before Jack died, he gave Charlie a harmonica that he says, "If you play this harmonica, I'll be able to hear it. Like anywhere
Mhm.
in the world, I'll be able to hear this harmonica." So, flash to a year after he's passed away. Charlie is home with his dad's bandmate. I forget his name, played by Mark Addy, who every time I see him, I can only think of Fred Flintstone. Uh, I only think of Fred Flintstone from that awful fucking Viva Rock Vegas movie.
God, you're right,
But
that was
it
him.
that's the only thing I think of every time I see him. But, he's being watched by him one night, and Charlie decides to make a snowman in remembrance of his dad, and before he goes to bed, he plays the harmonica, and the harmonica magically makes the snowman puts his dad's soul into the snowman. And
Yeah.
it's funny because he becomes the snowman, and he wakes up as the snowman like, "I'm home." So it's like time has not passed.
Mhm.
That's basically like it's interesting. They make it like he does not realize he had died, basically.
Yeah, but at the same time, he also becomes aware that it's been a year since he last died. Not since he last died, since he died.
Since he
Um,
last died, he's died.
well, I mean, spoiler alert, implying there's more than one death.
The
But,
Snowman movie. What can we do to add stakes to a movie with a snowman?
yeah. Yeah, let's insert, Jack Frost Snowman, uh, as basically the temperatures begin to rise toward the end of the film, but that's flashing forward way too fast. So basically, Jack is woken up as a snowman. He goes knocking on the window trying to get Charlie's attention. Charlie understandably freaks out
Freaks the
seeing
fuck out.
and starts trying to blockade the door, everything. And uh, meanwhile, his mom comes home and sees the snowman out front, and Charlie's like, "The snowman's alive." And she's like, "No, he's not. He's just
No,
standing
it's
out
not
there."
that old movie tradition of blank is alive, or there's blank in the basement, or I found blank in the backyard, and the mom is like, "No, it's not, you stupid
Yeah.
child."
But it was like, but yeah, so, basically, Jack ends up trying to, kinda reconnect with his son, tries to prove to him, like, "I am your father," and that ends up being proven in a kind of in a resurgence of the snowball fight, but it comes out with the beginnings of a snowball fight, and it ends up going into, like, a chase, like a skiing, snowboarding chase.
Yeah, the bully and his posse start chasing Charlie and the snowman, and basically the thing that makes Charlie realize that Jack is the snowman is actually his dad is when he calls him Charlie boy, I think is what he says.
Yes, it was, which
Which
kinda
was like
makes it
his
really
nickname, which
sad.
to be fair, that's not a creative nickname. Like,
Yeah, I'm like, has nobody ever called him that? I guess not, but it was just but also just made it that much more bittersweet that, like, literally how much was he around for his kid to not, like, remember all these things that they did together, but it was the nickname that did it for him? I'm like,
yeah, and also the fact that
"Mm."
the snowman sounds exactly like your dad. That's like the other thing that didn't tip you off. Like,
Yeah, I I guess it's again, when you first see something, you're not sure whether to believe it or not, or hear something and you're not sure. And
I
it's
think
like that ended up being the
with
confirmation for him, but it was funny how quickly he turned realizing I'm like but I kept
that
thinking that the nickname was the weakest convincing point for him when again, if it had been a different nickname, if it would been
if
something
it was like
more
Chucky, if it was like Chucky Boy, like Chuck, like the nickname or something, or I don't know. I can't even think of a good nickname for Charlie. Char Char? No, nah, I don't like that. Charmander.
Charming. Well, it was the '90s.
It was a year before the first movie, actually. It was like a
Yeah,
year
but I
before the
mean, like,
first Pokemon
it
movie.
was at the time when the games were all popular, or at least the cards were popular, so there's that.
Dude, the first movie to ever have a Pokemon tie-in, Jack Frost with Michael Keaton. It is a Warner Brothers movie. They could have done it, actually. I just realized they would have had the
That
rights
is
to do
true. But, yeah, uh, so Charlie ends up on Jack's side, realizing it's his dad, um, and it ends up, being a point where he ends up in this snowball fight when he realizes he's got his dad with him, and it was, uh yeah, they end up getting faced by the bullies. Bullies try to attack him with a snowball fight, and then uh, Jack ends up helping him with with his own snowball artillery, which
it.
was
Literally
very
like a machine gun, like with the amount
yeah
of snow he's shooting.
early form of Buddy the Elf and his incredible throwing arm.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, but yeah, then it leads to a chase because the bullies get all pissed off that, Charlie's pick Trent looks like Charlie's picking a fight, and then they end up on this high-speed chase on these, snowy slopes, basically with, like, skiing and snowboarding going on.
One of my
and
favorite
sledding.
lines in the entire movie is Michael Keaton on that snowboard, just going shredding. I don't. One of my favorite. Just he doesn't. It doesn't even sound like him. It sounds like maybe a voice double or something, but it just sounds so weird just to hear him go shredding when he's snowboarding.
It is funny whenever he's had moments where he, when he g and when he's allowed to go deeper and more gravelly in his shrieking, that I'm like, careful, dude, your Beetlejuice is showing."
Oh no, when he first realizes he's the snowman, when he looks in the mirror and he goes, ah, like the scream is almost exactly Beetlejuice. Like,
Especially when it goes, "Whoa, Nelly, whoa!" Like he's doing the whole
oh, you mean
southern
when he's like slipping, he's like,
slang.
whoa, Nelly, what? Like when he's like
Yeah, yep,
slipping.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it was, but yeah, so at the end of that, basically, Jack and Charlie end up having more bonding time, and over time, the other kids in town and Charlie's mother notice that he is he's associating with the snowman all the time and, like, isolating himself, and so she thinks, "Oh, he's having trouble, grieving when experiencing loss." Is this loss?
No,
Um
no. I need to find the right screen caps now to be able to do that picture. I need
but it's but basically, uh, the mother tries to, like, convince the old bandmate to talk to Charlie about, like, what's going on, why is he so obsessed with, like, the snowman and stuff like that, and, basically trying to get to the problem, the root of his sadness and stuff. I'm, like, thinking, "Kid's going through some stuff. He lost his dad the year before, just, like, what's going on?" Like, "What do you think's going on?"
What do you think is going on with him? He's depressed. Like,
I'm like, "Why are you so sad? Why the frick do you think he is?"
but I what happens after that is basically a lot of father-son bonding. He teaches him how to play hockey better.
Mhm.
I'm trying to recall everything that happens in between. I wonder if I
Yeah,
even wrote it in
he
my
does
notes.
teach him, like, the trick shot that he promised that he would the year prior. He ends up teaching him, like, the trick moves, in hockey. And then, they end up just, like, having more talking moments and spending more time together, so he's obviously trying to it's now he's got the time to uh, be there for his son when he couldn't before. Um, and yeah, it was, but which those moments of them bonding are really nice. Like, I
Oh,
feel like
no.
they're
I think every scene, like, even before he's the snowman, Michael Keaton is Michael Keaton's one of my favorite fucking actors.
hmm,
He didn't need to try for this.
yeah.
He did not need to try for this. I like every scene he has with this kid. Honestly, every scene he has in general, he is so charming in this. Like, he
Yeah,
gave so much more than he needed to for a film like this. Like, genuinely, like him and Kelly Preston, him and the kid. Like, even like the first half hour, I was just watching him with this family, and I'm like, this is just nice. I don't know, like, this
yeah.
is just, like, very charming just watching this family.
Yeah, so
Like, and it
that's why
doesn't
it doesn't feel
feel.
like it's somebody who had to go through a major arc of, like, going 180 in personality. It was him going literally having the opportunity to have that one last chance to, like, actually
Yeah.
do things with his kid, and, yeah, which also I guess I know that's more of the point of the story, but it also made it more interesting that I guess did he not have any business to finish with his wife? That's what I was like, because I know
Is
the
it
kid's
wait,
the more important part.
does this bring us full circle to our fucking Casper? Does he was this his unfinished
His
business?
unfinished
His
business was it
unfinished
was
business?
you know what, now I think about it, yeah, because the kid's got growing up to do, he's only and just like his wife points out is like, "Oh, you have this one opportunity to do this. It's these moments that happen once and then they don't happen again. It's becomes the next one." It's like, first words and all that kinda stuff. It's like you don't wanna miss these moments. And
I
so
It's funny because I remember I guess to skip ahead a little bit because there's something I did want to bring up. Uh so inevitably, it gets warmer. That, as you could probably predict, was going to happen because we have to have some sort of thing in the third act. It starts getting warmer, the snowman starts to melt, and Charlie figures out, hey, what if we go up to the cabin in the mountains because it's always cold up there, and you're not going to melt if we go up to the mountains. So he ends up getting the help from the bully, which one of my favorite reactions in the entire film is Charlie wheeling this snowman around on a sled and him confronting the bully, and the bully calls him stupider, and Jack just looks up and goes, "Did you say stupider? What kind of word is stupider?" And I love the bully, like, turns around, looks back at the puppet, and then looks back behind himself again, like he doesn't know what the fuck to do. Like he doesn't know what's going on at all. Like he's not scared or anything. He's just more like so confused that the snowman started talking, he doesn't know how to react to it.
Yeah, and then when he realizes it's the same snowman from the sledding chase, and
As
the
if
one that
there'd
was
be
throwing,
another talking snowman?
but it was also
I
just realizing that he's the one that threw the snowballs, and he suddenly becomes like a fanboy, going like, "You got this incredible throwing!" Like,
No, I kind of like that the kid's not mad. I kind of like the
yeah,
bully is like, dude, you're fucking awesome. Like, which honestly, I think a kid would probably react like that. Honestly, I don't
exactly.
know. I feel like honestly, if I was a kid and I saw that,
Whoever
if I
wrote
realized that was the
whoever wrote for
thing,
the kid understood the assignment for making them sure the kids sounded like kids, you know?
yeah,
So
no, none of the kids talk like. None of the kids, they don't. As much as I like Fred Savage, a lot of my problems with movies Fred Savage is in is he talks like he's 30.
mhm,
And none of the kids in this talk like that. They all talk like they're kids.
mhm. So,
So,
yeah,
and it,
like, that is one of my favorite moments in the whole movie, personally, is just what prompts it all, and then the reaction.
again, it's not fear. It's like genuine confusion that he doesn't know, like, if the snowman actually talked or it was like a magic trick. Like,
And then he has to question, you know, "Who said that?"
but yeah, no. So he confronts the bully and he's like, "Hey, I don't want my dad to die. You know what it's like to not have a dad." And so the bully and him kind of make up, and the bully helps him get on a truck that's going up into the mountains,
Yep,
and
and
they
then
both end up back at the cabin. And
mhm.
kind of they have a moment together. Jack calls the mom and says, "Hey, Charlie's up at the cabin. Come get him." And kind of sporadically, they're outside in the morning, and Jack just goes, "Hey, I have to leave."
Yeah.
I don't they did they either I remember I was watching this, did I miss something? Like, did they say
No,
he had a
they
time did
never
they
set
say
up
he
a
had a time limit? Like,
no, they never set it up. Like, the only reason he would have a time limit would be if he was in a place like he was melting, obviously, like, that indicates a time limit, but when you're in a place where it's constantly cold, there is
yeah,
no
no,
time
they
limit.
well, because he says, "Hey, buddy, it's time for me to go."
I think it's almost
it
like he didn't have it so much as a time limit on his existence, but more of, like, his purpose in coming back, because he again, what Charlie says when he said, "When I played the harmonica and that brought you back, it's because I wished
I wanted to
to have
spend
one more
Christmas.
Christmas with you."
That was
And
the thing that made me think, "Okay, maybe
the time
that's
limit's up on
why."
Christmas.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking, maybe that's why they just didn't explain it very well. That because
Yeah.
I was that was my only thought when it was happening was like, "Oh, was it just because it's not Christmas anymore that he's leaving?" Or like,
I'm thinking that's a technical answer. I also think it's maybe Jack recognizing that Charlie is now at a point where it's almost like accepting loss and
wait,
is ready to
yeah,
kinda
you
like,
could take
he's
it
like, "You may
you could
not
take
think
it
you're ready,
both
but trust
ways.
but I've seen it. You're ready, you know, you've grown up a bit and we've been able to bond and."
I think you could take it both ways, I think is the other thing, is that it's
Mhm,
either a coming of age type thing, or it's because it's not Christmas anymore and he has to leave.
mhm.
Which I what the old fucking nostalgia critic bit, I think it was like, "You know, it was very nice of God to give him this week of of freedom." Like, It was very nice of God to give him this extra week of life. Like, I mean, I for me, it's just this whole thing. I'm like, it's like a fairy tale. I don't think you really need to explain why he came back. I think it's just
Oh,
supposed to be just
is
like
that the
magic for
hockey
the sake of
coach?
magic.
Is
The
that the
what?
hockey coach? The hockey coach that has a mental
Oh,
breakdown because he sees Jack?
oh my God. Okay, okay. I need to talk about Henry Rollins in this movie because he is fucking amazing for the little he has. Henry Rollins is one of my favorite people ever, like, of all time. I love Henry Rollins so much. If you don't know who Henry Rollins is, for our viewers, Henry Rollins is a musician, he's an actor, he's a singer. He's kind of a jack of all trades. He
Mhm.
he was the lead
Yeah,
singer
it's a
for
Jack.
but yeah, Henry Rollins was the front man for Black Flag in the '80s, and he's been in tons of other bands. He's acted in a shit ton of movies. He's done stand up. Very, very down to earth, very interesting guy. Watch any interview with him or watch some of his stand up. He has some very, very interesting stories. But that man was having so much fun doing this movie for like the 3 scenes that he's in as the
Yeah.
fucking coach.
Yeah, because
Like,
yeah, because to clear it up with people, he plays Charlie's hockey coach who is very high strung and, like, obviously, hell-bent on making sure his team beats beats their competitors because I guess they're not, like,
he's not
the
even
best
really
team.
antagonistic. He's just
No,
so into winning that he's
yeah,
just
exactly.
like
He's just
he's
very
just
competitive,
yeah.
and, but it's so funny because the second scene he's in the whole movie is him driving through the snow, and he
Oh my
almost runs
god.
over Jack, who after Jack has become a snowman, and he has a frickin' mental breakdown, backs his truck
No,
out of the
my favorite basic there's a thing earlier in the movie where he talks about there Charlie talks about his hockey coach to his dad before he's a snowman, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, I knew that guy. It was like back in high school." Like he talked about like how he knew him and all this stuff. And it's actually before I think we even see him.
Mhm.
And when he's in the car and he sees Jack as the snowman, he does not scream. His scream does not look like he's scared. He looks angry when he's screaming. Like it is not a face of fear. It is like pure anger. Like I don't even understand why he looks so mad when he's screaming at Jack, but it's so, oh my god, that's the hardest I laughed in the entire
But
movie
it
was
is
just
really
Henry
funny because
Rollins' reaction.
he backs his truck up all the way back
To
down the
the end of
street
the
and around the
street.
corner.
Yeah.
Like, he is 100% just like, "Nope, nope, 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 nope." Just
And he screams the whole way. It's like a
yeah,
good
and
like
you can
15
and he's just
seconds.
like
He just keeps screaming.
and it's funny because even at a point where Jack's like, like, "Nice to see you," like, almost like, being passive, just muttering to himself, and you can still hear the screaming after that, like, into the distance.
Oh no. And I love that Jack is basically like, that could have been my one chance. Like he was just like talking to himself and like, because he knows nobody's going to acknowledge him as a snowman or everybody's going to think he's a freak. And
Mhm.
he just kind of sits there for a second and he just yells the coach's name. He's like, "You bastard!" Like he ran. Like Raphael in the '90s Ninja Turtle movie, where you can just hear him yell "damn" and it just cuts to the end, like the whole city. You can just hear him screaming "damn" at the top of his lungs. It's like the same thing. Oh my god. Yeah, no, it's really weird because I found out that the director of this movie, this is like only one of like 3 films he's ever directed. And tonally, it's a very weird thing because he's only known for directing stand-up specials, like stand-up comedy specials.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is the only non-comedy, like straight comedy thing he's worked on that's like not like just a straight comedy project.
Wow. I was gonna say, like,
Yeah,
not a bad foray. I mean, it's a weird thing, but it's not a bad foray into
yeah,
doing
like,
something different from what you're used to.
he's directed, like, a shit ton of TV, but they're all comedy-based. He's directed since 1986, he's directed fucking, like, 30 stand-up specials,
Oh, wow.
including Don Rickles, Robin Williams, George Carlin, John Oliver, Cat Williams, and Jim Gaffigan, among others.
Wow.
And this is one of 4 movies he directed. He directed a documentary type film that Kathy Griffin made. He directed Run, Ronnie, Run with David Cross, which is based on Mr. Show, which he was a part of. He was one of the directors of Mr. Show with Bob Odenkirk and David Cross. And he directed Dumb and Dumber 2. Not Dumb and Dumber 2, Dumb and Dumberer.
Oh my god.
You know, the bad one.
Yeah.
The really, really bad one.
Yeah.
It's really odd because there's a lot of really weird people that were involved in this project. Like, do you know who one of the like not producer, but like was one of the assistant directors to the film? Do you know who one of the assistant directors of this film was?
No.
The grandson of Frank Capra. You know, the director of It's a Wonderful Life.
Are you serious?
Yes, Frank Capra the third. It's his grandson. And I looked because I saw the name Frank Capra in the credits. And I'm like, Frank Capra? No, not that Frank.
Which
Oh my God, that
which
Frank
kinda
Capra.
in a way, it's a real twisted connection to It's a Wonderful Life, considering Jack Frost is kinda like that in its own way in terms of, you know, like, seeing a world without you after you've passed or whatever, or if you a world without you in it.
Well, here's the weird thing.
That's I'm like, "Huh."
Frank Capra the third has been he's normally like a first assistant director. That's like what he's primarily known for. And he's done that for a lot of fucking movies. Like a lot. And it's weird because there's actually another Christmas connection with him. Do you know what other movie he worked on?
No.
Christmas Vacation.
Oh my god.
Like he worked on Christmas he was an assistant director on Christmas Vacation and Jack Frost. So Frank Capra's grandson was also involved in 2 different Christmas movies. Like it's
Wow.
really, really weird.
It's like, at least Christmas Vacation became a classic.
It's I guess that does bring me to the whole thing of, do you think this movie is warranting of the shit reviews that it
No,
gets?
it's a very strange film that I mean, it has definitely its problems, but at the same time, it's I mean, other than being just very strange, it's really not deserving of the shit that it keeps getting. I
I
don't
don't
know,
know
maybe
if
it's
it's just people are grossed out by the puppet. I don't know what it is, but it's I mean, based on Roger Ebert's review, maybe that's what it is, but
I
I
mean,
don't
I
and I
can see
remember the
how
fucking Nostalgia Critic review from, like, years ago, even he was saying how much he fucking hated the puppet. Like, I don't know, like, maybe it's just people hate the
he
puppet. I don't know.
I think maybe that I think I've heard that I've heard that excuse being made for a lot of different things where it's like one little feature that would ruin the whole experience for anyone watching it
I
going like,
I guess
"This
it
is a the
I guess
plot's
it
great and all this
would.
stuff, but this one thing
I
prevents me from enjoying it." Like, and I
I
think
mean,
that's what the
I guess
puppet is for a lot of people.
I guess I would understand it because that thing is prominent for, like, 50 minutes of the movie.
And there's close-ups of him, and and there's a lot of, CG moments of him where it seems like it's
Yeah, the CG mixing in this is not good.
and the
Like,
and
you
the
and
yeah,
also
and the
there's some
obvious green
shots where
screening in some shots that
yeah, and there's some shots I don't even know why he's CG sometimes because I'm like, "Really? They couldn't have just, like, shown the puppet from that angle?" Like, it's just kinda weird.
Yeah, it was yeah, again, it it could have been a lot worse. This movie could have been a lot worse.
Oh,
For what it is, it's like, and especially when you have moments again, like with the coach, and you have the bully, and you have, like, actually some really like, when you have some good funny moments like that and the heartwarming moments with the family, it's like, yeah, you know what? I mean, it's really not it's really not that bad, and I
Like,
feel
if
bad
you
that
think
I mean,
it's
I
n
understand it
like
not being, like, a classic for some people. I'm surprised
like
it isn't a cult classic, but I guess it's just b I don't know. I don't know why it isn't,
Like,
but
if you find it schmaltzy, I guess, like, I could see that, but I don't know, like, it's weird. I think the first 30 minutes of this movie and the last, like, 10 minutes of this movie are the best part.
yeah.
Basically, the part without the snowman, and it's not even that I don't even hate the snowman, is the thing.
You just turn it into a
I
Hallmark Christmas special, is just so you take those 40 minutes and you
Well, what I was saying is I actually wrote this down in my notes as I said, I'd be interested to know what this movie would have been like if it didn't have the snowman. Keep the dad dead throughout the whole
Mhm.
thing. Like I'm curious as to what this would have been, but I think maybe that would have made the movie less interesting. I don't know. Like that's like would that have made the movie less interesting for people or would that have made it more compelling? I don't know.
Imagine if it had been played like, Calvin and Hobbes. Like,
Yes.
imagine if the snowman
Oh,
was
that would have been
really a snowman
great.
and he really was projecting onto the snowman, that it was his dad because he's trying to cope with loss.
Or
Um,
what if it was
and
like,
then and then twist of all twists, what if it really was him in the end? So when his soul's about to ascend, you realize, "Wait, he was there all along," and then you have a twist. So it's like I don't
you're
know.
making I was thinking, like, what do you think of, like, the idea for, like, the gargoyles and Hunchback where, like, they seem
Yeah,
imaginary for, like, most of the movie? Like, that's
yeah.
I yeah, I don't know. I think this movie would have been we're making this movie much more psychological than I think they had ever planned for it to be.
Yeah,
But, maybe that
but it
would have
does
made
make
it
you
more
wonder.
compelling. Like, if it was like a Monster Calls or like The Beaver, if it was more like a kind of, like, charming psychological kind of thing as opposed to making it like an actual snowman. Like,
Yeah.
the actual ghost of his dad in the snowman.
I think it would've been really interesting though, just if they did actually end up making it like again, like I said, if the twist was that his spirit was there all along, but again, it was almost like, nobody believed him or he was almost like he was present in essence, and then you realized at the end, "Oh, he was really there." And, maybe having, like, hints of it along the way to build up to that point, but not have it not be too obvious, too tongue in cheek to be like, "Oh, you see, we were building up to this." But I don't know. Um, Either way, I still don't I mean, I don't consider it a favorite of mine, but I don't see it as a bad film either.
No, I actually was saying this to I was saying this earlier. I It's weird because I've had 2 different opinions on this movie throughout my life because I saw it when I was, like, 16, and I remember I liked it, and then I watched it again, I think, like, 3 or 4 years ago, and I was really, really bored, and then I watched it today for, like, the first time since 2017, and I'm like, "This is really charming." Like, it's I don't think there's anything, like, great. Like, nothing that gives, like, "Yes, this is an 8 out of 10, would recommend holiday movie that everybody should watch." Like, no. It's I think it's like a solid 7 out of 10. It's a decent movie. It's to me, it's just charming. I don't know. I just think the entire cast has this camaraderie that makes the movie very, very endearing.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. It's yeah, and plus it does have some great moments that come out of it, um, whether they be charming or
The
funny. I
ending
think I what I like is the funny moments that do come out of it. Um, and again, it's almost like those little shining golden nuggets that when they're the ones that make you really laugh, like the whole driving in reverse, just like the big huge nope from the
shredding.
and shredding. And then the bully being like a fanboy, it was at the, stupider? Did you just say
Did you
stupider?
say stupider? What kind of word is stupider?
But, yeah, again, it was like there didn't have to be any huge character arcs, it was more of, like, fulfilling again, like, connecting it back to Casper, fulfilling unfinished business and fulfilling a Christmas wish at the same time. Um, but yeah,
I
with
don't think
with Jack not really being a bad person from the start, it's just that he wanted to have that opportunity, and Charlie was able to give him that at that same time, and it was something that Charlie needed for closure. So, you know.
I would not say I like this as much as Casper. I think Casper's more fun,
Oh, yeah.
but
Well, it's
I th
far more laughs a minute with Casper, but then it's considering it that's also something where it's like a I feel like with a Halloween movie, there's a lot more room to because you can go darker with the humor and stuff like that versus a Christmas movie. Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas, debatable. But I feel like that's why you're able to like look at something like Casper with with the whole ghost spirit passing on element, and you can have a lot more laughs with it because it's not afraid to go that direction. With something like a holiday film, like a Christmas film, it tends to play it a lot more safe, I guess. There's a lot more movies that play it more safe than ones that do with a Halloween, obviously. So,
yeah.
because then you gotta stick to the end of "It's the meaning of Christmas," or something like that, you know? Again, like you said, something schmaltzy, maybe that's why some people were turned off by some of the stuff here, but then again, I'm like, there's a lot of Christmas movies, like, even through Christmas Vacation, it kinda has a schmaltzy ending, but it's still done humorously. That's why
Yeah.
I think with it being one of the that and Home Alone, like, those movies being, like, the more crude, and that's not even saying that they're crude, but they're more crude compared to most other holiday, I should say specifically Christmas flicks that come out, um, and I guess you could say uh, 8 Crazy Nights if you loop in Hanukkah.
Ugh. Ugh. Oh, we could bring that full circle because Eli Marienthal is in this movie, and he played Hogarth in Iron Giant. And some of the people that worked on Iron Giant went on to work on 8 Crazy Nights. It's all
Oh
connected.
my
It's
god.
all connected. Every every Christmas movie is
It all comes
connected to
back
Jack
to Adam
Frost.
frickin' Sandler.
Every Christmas movie is connected to Jack Frost. Every single one,
Hey,
in some
eh,
way.
he you don't need to keep sneaking in here. We never said you had to leave. Why are you backing away?
Henry,
You can just sit there, it's fine.
you
You don't
could
have to
sit there.
go,
You're fine.
unless you feel like you
No,
need to go.
you want to
Oh,
know
oh
the?
no,
Oh
wait.
no! Oh no! He's
Shrinking out of
imploding!
existence. Oh
No!
no.
Oh, you want to know the weirdest cameo in the entire movie, and I don't even know why he's credited because I don't remember him even having a line. Paul
What?
F. Tompkins is in this movie.
Really?
This is his first movie. He's in the opening scene in the crowd. I screen capped it and put a red ring around where he is.
That just makes me think of, like, when,
Yeah, I
uh
put it in the chat. There it is.
oh my god.
Yeah,
Sure enough.
that is, and he's credited in the cast, and I don't know why because I don't remember him even having a line. Like, I don't know if
Man,
it's just because the director worked on the Mr. Show and Paul was on that show. I don't know. Maybe it was just like,
it's funny,
I don't
he
know.
just looks so different there. Oh, man. But yeah.
Dan, we're not talking about Christmas with the Cranks. Go away. Go
No,
away.
you need to get your Christmas-obsessed self out of here. We're not taking the Christmas cult.
I fucking, oh, that movie's so bad.
It's so bad.
That is genuinely one of the worst things I think I've ever watched. It is so bad.
If I remember, I liked it as a kid, but there's your point stance, as I liked it as a
I
kid.
I hadn't I
I
watched
liked
it.
I liked Epic Movie as a kid, and I look back on that one going, "What the
Dan,
heck?
go,
How did
go, yeah,
go
yeah.
Dan, you need to" Thank you.
No,
No, I
no.
can hear your footsteps.
I can hear you. I can hear you and your harmonica.
That's
Yeah,
the
no.
accordion.
Here question. Would you I guess here's the thing. I'd say it's a solid 7 out of 10 movie. I think it's charming. I think it's a very endearing movie. I could understand somebody being bored by it. Like I could understand somebody being bored by it or maybe not liking it, but again, I would not say to the extent that the critics have slammed it, and I think to the reputation it's had over the years.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, for me, it'd be between, like I would say, like, 6.5 or 7 for
Yeah, I
me
give it
too.
yeah,
It's
like
like
a
it's
7.
I think it's because it doesn't strike me as, like, the most memorable film. It doesn't seem to have, like, a mainstay to it, but for what it does have in terms of its good of its good little qualities is I enjoyed it. Like, I was gonna say, like you said, it's charming in the moments that count. Um, and, and I'm going to say that the snowman, puppetry is really well done, even if it does walk the line of uncanny valley, that does not discredit that the work done on that puppet is, like, woof. Like, I couldn't even imagine 'cause of it's having to coordinate all of that to make it convincing and smooth. Um, it's still, like, at the end, it ends up being something that feels like, "Yeah, this is a Christmas movie at the end of the day," so it has that nice Christmassy ending, uh, and, all around, it's pretty heartwarming. So,
The
I
ending
can't
made me
exactly
I remember
it's
the
not
first time I
perfect, but
watched
it's
it, the end
okay, you know?
when I
It's okay where it counts.
I remember the ending the first time I saw it when I was, like, 15, it made me cry. I'm not afraid to admit it. The ending of that movie is fucking sweet as hell.
Yeah, and then again, it comes to a point of closure, which is, it's one of those, like, highly relevant points for a lot of people that's gonna hit them, and depending on how it hits them, it can be pretty powerful. So it's, especially when you know that the relationship that Jack had with his family was really nice. So being able to have that one last moment is really sweet.
Yeah, no, I don't know what else to really say about it. It's a decent movie, and I think it kinda gets overhated. Would I say that everybody would like it? No, but I'd say it's worth giving a chance.
Yeah, yeah, I recommend at least giving it like, one watch if you're going to give it a chance. Um, Even if you don't revisit it again, there's still some good moments and great character dynamics in there, so, yeah, give it a watch if you'd like to check it out for yourself.
Dan,
Is
Dan,
Dan back
Dan,
there?
Dan!
No, no!